Maya's feet hurt so bad she could barely walk. She had been standing for 12 hours straight at Jerry's diner, serving coffee and burgers to truck drivers and late-night customers. Her uniform smelled like grease and her back ached, but she couldn't complain. This job paid her rent. She pulled her thin jacket tighter as she walked down the empty road. It was almost 5 in the morning and the world felt quiet and cold. The mountains looked dark against the gray sky. In a few hours, she would need to be at her other job, cleaning office buildings downtown. But right now, all she wanted was to get home and sleep for 3 hours. Maya counted the tips in her pocket. $26. Not great, but it would buy groceries for a few days. She had learned to make every dollar stretch. Ramen noodles, day-old bread, and whatever vegetables were on sale. That's how she survived. Her phone buzzed. A text from her brother Tommy at the hospital. Feeling better today. Don't worry about me, she smiled a little. Tommy always tried to make her feel better, even when he was the one sick. The doctor said he was getting stronger, but the medical bills kept growing. Maya worked 3 jobs, but it never seemed like enough. As she walked past the bottom of Cascade Mountain, something caught her eye. A car was crashed into a tree. The front was smashed up bad and steam was coming from the engine. Maya stopped walking. "Hello?" she called out. "Is anyone there?" She heard a low groan coming from inside the car. Maya ran over, her tired feet suddenly moving fast. Through the broken window, she could see a man slumped over the steering wheel. He was unconscious, blood on his forehead. Sir, can you hear me?" Maya tried to open the car door, but it was stuck. She pulled harder, using all her strength. Finally, it opened with a loud creak. The man was wearing an expensive-looking suit, now torn and dirty. His watch looked like it cost more than Maya made in a year. But none of that mattered right now. He was hurt and needed help. Maya checked her phone. Only 15% battery left. She had been trying to save it until she got home, but this was an emergency. She dialed 911. 911, what's your emergency? There's been a car accident at the bottom of Cascade Mountain near mile marker 12. A man is unconscious and bleeding. He needs an ambulance right away. We're sending help. Are you safe? Is the vehicle on fire? Maya looked around. I think we're safe. The car isn't on fire, but there's steam coming out. Stay with him if it's safe to do so. Help is on the way. Maya knelt down next to the car. The man's breathing was shallow but steady. She didn't want to move him in case his neck was hurt. She had learned basic first aid when Tommy first got sick. Hey, can you hear me? She said softly. Help is coming. You're going to be okay. The man's eyes fluttered open for a second. He tried to say something, but the words came out jumbled. Maya caught what sounded like David. Is that your name? David? Maya asked. I'm Maya. You've been in an accident, but the ambulance is coming. David tried to sit up, but Maya gently put her hand on his shoulder. Don't move yet. You might have hurt your neck. In the distance, Maya could hear sirens getting closer. She felt relieved. Her phone was completely dead now, but help was almost here. The ambulance arrived with flashing lights, followed by a fire truck. The paramedics took over, checking David's vital signs and carefully getting him out of the car. Maya stepped back to give them room to work. Are you family? One of the paramedics asked Maya. No, I just found him like this. I called 911. Do you know his name or have any information about him? Maya shook her head. He said something that sounded like David, but I'm not sure. He was unconscious when I found him. The paramedics loaded David onto a stretcher. His eyes opened again briefly and he looked directly at Maya. There was something in his expression, gratitude maybe, or confusion. Then his eyes closed again. We're taking him to General Hospital, the paramedic told Maya. Thanks for staying with him. Maya watched the ambulance drive away, its red lights disappearing into the early morning. She looked at the wrecked car. It was definitely expensive. Some kind of luxury vehicle she didn't recognize. What was someone driving a car like that doing on this lonely mountain road at night? She realized she was shivering. Her adrenaline was wearing off and she felt exhausted again. But something made her want to know if David was okay. Maybe it was because he had looked so lost and confused. Or maybe because he reminded her of Tommy when he was scared at the hospital. Maya started walking toward town. She could take the bus to General Hospital before her cleaning shift started. She had enough money for the fare, and she wanted to make sure David was all right. By the time Maya reached the hospital, the sun was coming up. She asked at the front desk about David, but they couldn't give her information since she wasn't family. Maya explained that she had found him and rode in the ambulance. He didn't have any identification with him, the nurse said. The police are trying to figure out who he is. You might be the only person who can help. Maya gave them her contact information and told them everything she remembered. The nurse said David was stable but had a concussion and some broken ribs. He would need to stay in the hospital for a few days. Can I see him? Maya asked. Just for a minute? The nurse looked at her with kind eyes. He's still unconscious, but you can sit with him if you want. Room 302. Maya took the elevator up to the 3rd floor. Room 302 was quiet and dim. David was connected to several machines that beeped softly. His face was cleaned up now, and Maya could see he was younger than she had first thought, maybe in his early 30s. She sat down in the chair next to his bed. Her shift at the cleaning company started in 2 hours, but she felt like she needed to stay a little longer. David looked peaceful now, but also alone. Maya knew what it felt like to be alone in a hospital. She pulled a piece of paper from her purse and wrote a short note. Hi, David. I'm Maya, the girl who found you after your accident. I hope you're feeling better. If you need anything or want to talk, you can call me. She wrote down her phone number and left the note on his bedside table. As Maya stood up to leave, David's eyes opened. He looked confused for a moment, then focused on her face. You, he said quietly. You helped me. I'm Maya. How are you feeling? Like I got hit by a truck. David tried to smile. Thank you, really. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't found me. Maya felt her cheeks get warm. Anyone would have done the same thing. David looked at her for a long moment. No, they wouldn't have. Trust me on that. Maya didn't know what he meant, but something in his voice made her believe him. She glanced at the clock on the wall. She really needed to go. I left my number on your table, she said. Call me if you need anything, okay? I have to go to work now. What kind of work do you do? I clean office buildings. And I work at a diner, too. Maya felt a little embarrassed. David's clothes and watch suggested he probably had a very different kind of life. But David didn't look down on her. Instead, he looked impressed. That's a lot of work. Thank you for taking time to help me. Maya smiled. Get some rest. The doctor said you need to stay here for a few days. As she walked toward the door, David called after her. Maya, I'll call you. I promise. Something about the way he said it made Maya believe he really would. She waved goodbye and headed to work, wondering who David really was and why he had been driving alone on that mountain road in the middle of the night. Maya was scrubbing the bathroom floor on the 15th floor of the Peterson building when her phone rang. She almost didn't answer because her hands were covered in cleaning solution, but something made her check the number. Hello? She said, balancing the phone between her shoulder and ear. Maya, this is David from the hospital. Maya's heart jumped a little. She hadn't expected him to actually call. Most people said they would do things but never followed through. David, how are you feeling? Are you still in the hospital? Yeah, for another day or two. The doctors want to make sure my head is okay. David's voice sounded stronger than it had that morning. I wanted to thank you again, and I was wondering if you might want to visit. I know you're probably busy with work. Maya looked around the empty office building. She still had 3 more floors to clean, but she could come back later. Something about David's voice made her want to say yes. I get off work at 6. I could stop by after that if you want. I'd like that. Really. After Maya hung up, she couldn't stop thinking about David. There was something about him that seemed different from most people she met. He had actually remembered to call, for one thing. And when he talked to her, he really listened. Maya finished her cleaning work quickly and stopped at home to shower and change clothes. She looked in her refrigerator. Not much there. Some leftover soup she had made from vegetables that were about to go bad, a few eggs and some bread. But the soup was pretty good, and David probably hadn't had real homemade food in the hospital. She heated up the soup and poured it into an old thermos. It wasn't fancy, but it was made with care. At the hospital, Maya found David sitting up in bed looking much better than he had that morning. His hair was combed and the bandage on his head was smaller. He smiled when he saw her come in. You came, he said, and Maya could hear genuine happiness in his voice. I brought you something. Maya held up the thermos. Homemade vegetable soup. Hospital food is terrible. David's eyes lit up. You made this for me? Maya felt her cheeks get warm. It's not gourmet or anything. Just vegetables and some broth. It smells amazing. David accepted the cup Maya poured for him. He took a sip and closed his eyes. This is the best thing I've tasted in weeks. Maya sat down in the chair next to his bed. You must not eat much good food then. David paused, his spoon halfway to his mouth. You'd be surprised. I eat at expensive restaurants all the time, but none of them taste like this. What do you do for work? Maya asked. You said you were traveling for business? David hesitated for just a moment. Maya noticed, but she didn't push. I'm a business consultant. I help companies solve problems and make better decisions. It wasn't entirely a lie, David told himself. He did help companies even if he owned most of them. That sounds important. You must travel a lot. More than I'd like to, honestly. David looked at Maya. What about you? You mentioned you work at a diner and clean buildings. That's a lot, Maya shrugged. I also work part-time at a grocery store on weekends. 3 jobs keep me busy, David frowned. That must be exhausting. Do you ever get time to rest? Not much, but I need the money. Maya's voice got quiet. My younger brother Tommy is sick. He has a condition that requires a lot of medical treatment. Our parents died in a car accident 3 years ago, so it's just me and him now. David felt something twist in his chest. I'm sorry. That must be really hard. Some days are harder than others. Tommy's getting better, but the hospital bills are... Maya stopped herself. Why was she telling a stranger all this? Sorry, you don't need to hear about my problems. I asked because I care, David said simply. Tell me about Tommy. What's he like? Maya's whole face changed when she talked about her brother. Her eyes got brighter and her voice became warmer. He's 16 and way smarter than me. Even sick, he keeps up with his schoolwork. He wants to be an engineer someday. He's always building things with whatever he can find. He sounds like a great kid. He is. He never complains about being in the hospital or missing school. He just focuses on getting better. Maya wiped at her eyes quickly. I'm going to make sure he gets to college no matter what. David watched Maya's face as she talked about her brother. There was such fierce love there, such determination. In his world, people talked about money and deals and power. But Maya talked about sacrifice and hope and love like they were the most natural things in the world. What about you? David asked. What do you want to do? Maya laughed, but not in a happy way. I used to want to be a teacher. I even started college, but I had to drop out when Tommy got sick. Maybe someday I'll go back. You should. You'd be a good teacher. How do you know that? David thought about how patient Maya had been with him at the accident, how she had stayed calm and taken care of him. You're kind and you explain things clearly. And you care about people. Maya looked surprised by the compliment. Thanks. Most days I just feel like I'm barely keeping my head above water. They talked for another hour about everything and nothing. David told Maya about places he had traveled for work, and Maya told him funny stories about customers at the diner. David found himself laughing more than he had in months. When visiting hours ended, Maya packed up her thermos. I should let you get some sleep. Will you come back tomorrow? David asked. If you want me to. I do. After Maya left, David stared at the ceiling for a long time. He couldn't remember the last time someone had brought him homemade soup or asked about his day, just because they cared. In his regular life, people were always nice to him, but it was because of what he could do for them. Maya was different. She had helped him when she thought he was just some guy who had crashed his car. She brought him soup even though she clearly didn't have much money. She worked 3 jobs to take care of her sick brother without complaining. David picked up his phone and called his assistant. Richard, I need you to look into something for me. There's a kid named Tommy, probably at General Hospital. His last name is... What's Maya's last name? David realized he didn't even know. Never mind, I'll get you more information. But see what you can find out about a teenage boy named Tommy, who's getting medical treatment. His sister's name is Maya. Is this business related? David thought about Maya's face when she talked about her brother's medical bills. It's personal. And Richard? I want this handled quietly. No one can know it came from me. The next day, Maya came back to the hospital with a book. I thought you might be bored, she said, handing David a worn paperback novel. Where did you get this? The library. It's about a guy who travels around the world having adventures. I thought since you travel for work, you might like it. David looked at the book. It was old and had obviously been read many times. Maya had picked it out just for him, had gone to the library on her way over. When was the last time someone had given him a gift that cost nothing but meant everything? Thank you, he said. I love it already. Maya settled into her chair. So tell me about your travels. What's the most interesting place you've been? David started to tell her about business trips to Tokyo and London, but then he stopped. Those trips had been about board meetings and hotel rooms. What Maya wanted to know about was the world, about experiences. Actually, David said slowly, I realize I've traveled a lot but haven't seen much. I'm usually in conference rooms or offices. I've been to Paris 3 times but never seen the Eiffel Tower. Maya looked sad. That's terrible. What's the point of traveling if you don't get to explore? I never thought about it that way. If I could travel anywhere, Maya said dreamily, I'd go to Italy. I want to see the old buildings and eat real pasta and sit in those little cafes. David watched Maya's face as she talked about Italy. He could send her there tomorrow if he wanted to. He could send her anywhere in the world. But something told him that Maya wouldn't want that, wouldn't accept it from someone she barely knew. For the first time in years, David found himself wishing he was just a regular person. Someone who could get to know Maya slowly, honestly. Someone who could earn her friendship instead of wondering if she would like him for who he really was. Later that evening, after Maya had gone home to get ready for her night shift, David's phone rang. I found information about the boy, Richard said. Tommy Chen, age 16. He's been treated for leukemia. The medical bills are substantial. The sister works multiple jobs, but they're behind on payments. David closed his eyes. Maya worked herself to exhaustion every day, and it still wasn't enough. I want you to set up a payment to cover the outstanding balance, David said. Make it look like it came from a medical charity. No connection to me or my companies. How much are we talking about? Whatever it takes. And Richard? Make sure they never know where it really came from. After David hung up, he looked at the book Maya had brought him. Such a simple gift, but it meant more to him than anything he had received in years. He opened it and started reading, hoping that maybe for once in his life he could be the kind of person who deserved a friend like Maya. Maya pushed her cleaning cart down the hallway of the Harrison Industries building. It was one of the fanciest office buildings in the city, with marble floors and expensive artwork on the walls. She usually cleaned the lower floors, but tonight they had asked her to cover the executive level because someone had called in sick. She was thinking about David as she worked. He had been released from the hospital 2 days ago, and they had been texting back and forth. He seemed lonely, which surprised Maya. Someone who traveled for business and stayed in nice hotels should have lots of friends, right? David had invited her for coffee tomorrow afternoon. Maya was nervous about it. She didn't have many nice clothes, and she wasn't sure what to wear. But David made her feel comfortable, like she could be herself around him. Maya was wiping down the windows when she heard voices coming from one of the conference rooms. The door was slightly open, and she could see men in expensive suits sitting around a huge table. She tried not to look, but something about one of the voices made her stop. The quarterly numbers look good, but we need to focus on the overseas expansion, the voice said. I want those contracts finalized by next week. Maya's heart started beating fast. She knew that voice. It was David's voice. She moved closer to the door, telling herself she was just cleaning nearby. Through the gap, she could see a man standing at the head of the table, pointing at charts on a big screen. He had dark hair and was wearing a suit that probably cost more than Maya made in 6 months. It was definitely David. Maya felt confused. What was David doing in a business meeting in this building? He had said he was a consultant, but this looked like something much bigger. The way everyone was listening to him, the way he commanded the room. This wasn't some traveling consultant. Maya looked at the nameplate on the massive desk in the corner. Her blood went cold. David Harrison, Chief Executive Officer, CEO, David Harrison. Maya's mind raced. Harrison Industries, that was the name on the building. She cleaned this building every week and she had never put it together. David wasn't a business consultant. He was the CEO of one of the biggest companies in the city. Maya backed away from the door, her hands shaking. She left her cleaning cart in the hallway and rushed to the bathroom. Her phone had internet, even if it was slow. She typed David Harrison CEO into the search bar. The results made her feel sick. Billionaire CEO, David Harrison featured on Forbes cover. David Harrison's net worth reaches $2.8 billion. Harrison Industries reports record profits under David Harrison's leadership. Maya scrolled through article after article, photo after photo. David at charity galas in expensive tuxedos. David shaking hands with politicians and celebrities. David giving interviews about business and success. This was the man she had been bringing homemade soup to. The man she had worried about when he was alone in the hospital. The man who had let her think he was just a regular business consultant. Maya felt like the biggest fool in the world. She thought about all their conversations. How she had told him about working 3 jobs, about struggling to pay Tommy's medical bills, about dropping out of college. How she had felt sorry for him being alone in the hospital. How she had brought him library books and cheap soup in an old thermos. He must have been laughing at her the whole time. Poor little Maya, working her 3 jobs, thinking she was helping some regular guy who got hurt in a car accident. Maya's phone buzzed. A text from David. "Hey, are we still on for coffee tomorrow? There's something I want to talk to you about." Maya stared at the message. Something he wanted to talk about. Was he finally going to tell her the truth? Or was he going to keep pretending to be someone he wasn't? She didn't respond. Instead, she gathered her cleaning supplies and finished her work as quickly as possible. All she wanted was to get out of that building and never see David Harrison again. That night, Maya couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about every conversation they had had, every moment she had felt connected to him. Had any of it been real? Or was she just some entertainment for a bored billionaire? The next morning, Maya's phone started ringing early. David's name appeared on the screen. Maya let it go to voicemail. A few minutes later, it rang again. Then again. Finally, Maya answered. "Maya, I've been trying to reach you. Are we still meeting for coffee today?" Maya's voice came out colder than she intended. "I don't think so, David, or should I say Mr. Harrison?" There was silence on the other end of the line. "Maya, I can explain." "Explain what?" "How you lied to me about who you are. How you let me think you were just some regular guy. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that." Maya's voice got louder. "I brought you soup, David. Soup that I made from vegetables I could barely afford. I sat with you in the hospital because I thought you were alone and had no one. I told you about my problems, about Tommy, about working 3 jobs just to survive. And the whole time you could buy this entire city if you wanted to. Maya, please let me explain. It's not what you think. What I think is that you're a liar. What I think is that you probably found it funny, watching some poor girl worry about you when you have more money than most people will see in a lifetime. That's not true at all. Maya, you have to believe me. I don't have to believe anything you say. How do I even know David Harrison is your real name? Maybe that's a lie too." David's voice sounded desperate. "My name is real. And everything I felt, everything between us, that was real too." Maya laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. Right. The Billionaire CEO felt something real for the girl who cleans toilets for a living. That makes perfect sense. Don't say it like that. Maya, you saved my life. You cared about me when I was hurt. That meant everything to me. Because I thought you were human. I thought you were someone like me, someone normal. But you're not, are you? You live in a completely different world. I'm still the same person. No, you're not. The person I thought I knew doesn't exist. He was made up." Maya could hear David breathing heavily on the other end of the line. "Maya, can we please meet somewhere and talk about this? Face to face?" "I don't think that's a good idea. I never meant to hurt you. The reason I didn't tell you who I was, I don't want to hear your reasons. I'm sure they make perfect sense to you. Rich people always have good reasons for the things they do. That's not fair. Fair?" Maya's voice cracked. "You want to talk about fair? I work 60 hours a week and can barely pay my bills. My brother is sick and I can't afford his treatments. I thought I had made a friend, someone who understood what it was like to struggle. But you don't know anything about that, do you?" "Maya, don't call me anymore David or Mr. Harrison, whatever your name is. We don't belong in the same world and we never did." Maya hung up the phone and immediately turned it off. She didn't want to hear it ring again. She sat on her bed and cried for the first time in months. Not just because David had lied to her, but because she had started to care about him. She had started to think that maybe she wasn't as alone as she always felt. But it had all been fake. David Harrison, Billionaire CEO, didn't need friends like Maya Chen who cleaned buildings and served coffee. People like him probably had assistants to handle their friendships. Maya wiped her eyes and got ready for work. She had a shift at the diner in an hour, and she couldn't afford to lose any jobs, especially now that she was back to facing everything alone. Her phone buzzed with another call, but Maya ignored it. David Harrison had plenty of people to talk to. He didn't need her. As Maya walked to work, she made herself a promise. She would never let herself be that stupid again. Rich people and poor people didn't mix, and she should have known better than to think otherwise. From now on, Maya would stick to her own world. It was harder and lonelier, but at least it was real. Behind her, Maya's phone kept buzzing with missed calls and unread messages. But Maya didn't look back. She had learned her lesson about trusting people who were too good to be true. David Harrison could find someone else to lie to. Maya was done being anyone's fool. Maya was serving coffee to an early morning customer when the delivery man walked into the diner carrying the biggest bouquet of flowers she had ever seen. Red roses, white lilies, and flowers she didn't even recognize, all arranged in a crystal vase that probably cost more than her rent. "Maya Chen?" the delivery man asked. Maya's heart sank. She knew who had sent them before she even looked at the card. "I'm sorry, but I can't accept these," Maya told the delivery man. "Please take them back." The man looked confused. "But they're already paid for. The delivery fee and everything. I don't care. I don't want them." Maya's boss, Jerry, came out from the kitchen. "What's going on here?" "Someone sent Maya flowers, but she doesn't want them," the delivery man explained. Jerry looked at the expensive arrangement and whistled. "Those must have cost a fortune. Who's trying to impress you, Maya?" "Nobody," Maya said firmly. "Please just take them away." After the delivery man left with the confused flowers, Jerry shook his head. "Girl, you must be crazy turning down roses like that. Whoever sent them must really like you." Maya didn't answer. She knew David was trying to apologize, but expensive flowers weren't going to fix what he had done. If anything, they made it worse. David throwing money at the problem just proved how little he understood about her world. The next day, a different delivery man showed up at Maya's apartment building. This time it was a huge basket filled with expensive food, fancy cheeses, wine, chocolates, things Maya had only seen in magazines. Maya refused that delivery too. Then came the jewelry box with earrings that sparkled like tiny stars. Maya didn't even open it before sending it back. David sent flowers to her cleaning job, gift cards to expensive stores, even a brand new phone to replace her old cracked one. Maya returned everything without even looking at most of it. Each rejected gift made Maya angrier. Did David really think he could buy her forgiveness? Did he think she was so poor and desperate that shiny things would make her forget how he had lied to her? Maya's coworkers at the diner started talking about her mysterious admirer. Her supervisor at the cleaning company asked if she was dating someone rich. But Maya just ignored the questions and kept working. After a week of returned gifts, Maya thought David had finally gotten the message. But then her phone rang during her break at the grocery store. "Maya, please don't hang up," David's voice said quickly. Maya almost ended the call, but something in his tone made her pause. "What do you want, David?" "I want to explain why I didn't tell you who I was. And I want to apologize for all the gifts. I know now that was the wrong approach, you think?" Maya said sarcastically. "I was trying to show you how sorry I am, but I realize it probably seemed like I was trying to buy you. Because that's exactly what you were doing." David was quiet for a moment. "You're right. I'm not good at this, Maya. I'm not good at having real relationships with people." "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means that in my world, when someone is upset, you send expensive things and they forgive you. I know that sounds terrible, but it's all I know how to do." Maya felt a little bit of her anger soften, but she pushed it away. "Well, I'm not from your world, remember? I'm just the girl who cleans your building." "Don't say it like that. You're not just anything. Maya, you're the most real person I've ever met. When I was in the hospital, you cared about me because you thought I was hurt and alone, not because of what I could do for you. Because I thought you were a normal person. I am a normal person. I mean, I try to be. The money and the company, that's not who I am inside." Maya laughed bitterly. "Easy to say when you have billions of dollars. Maya, please. Can we meet somewhere and talk? I promise no more gifts, no more flowers. Just you and me talking." Maya was about to say no when her phone beeped with another call. "The hospital. I have to go," she told David. "Tommy's calling." Maya switched to the other call, her heart racing. The hospital only called when something was wrong. "Miss Chen, this is Dr. Wilson. We need you to come in right away. Tommy's condition has changed." Maya's legs felt weak. "What do you mean changed? Is he okay?" "We'll explain everything when you get here." "How soon can you come?" "I'm on my way." Maya hung up and ran out of the grocery store, leaving her cleaning cart behind. She didn't care if she got fired. Tommy needed her. At the hospital, Dr. Wilson's face was serious. Tommy's numbers have gotten worse. We need to do a more aggressive treatment, but it's experimental and very expensive. How expensive? Maya asked, though she was afraid to hear the answer. The treatment costs about $50,000. Insurance won't cover experimental procedures. Maya felt like the room was spinning. $50,000. She made about $25,000 a year working 3 jobs. There was no way she could ever come up with that kind of money. How long do we have to decide? Maya asked. A few days at most. Tommy's strong, but we can't wait too long. Maya sat with Tommy for an hour, holding his hand while he slept. He looked so young and fragile with all the machines around him. She couldn't lose him. He was all the family she had left. When Maya finally left the hospital, she felt completely hopeless. She walked around the city for hours trying to think of something, anything she could do. She could ask for more hours at work, but even if she worked every single day, she couldn't make $50,000 in time. Maya found herself standing in front of Harrison Industries, the building where David worked, where she had discovered the truth about him. She looked up at the top floors where David probably had his office. She hated the thought that crossed her mind, but she couldn't push it away. David could pay for Tommy's treatment without even thinking about it. $50,000 was probably what he spent on suits in a year, but Maya couldn't ask him. Her pride wouldn't let her. And even if she did ask, would David help? Or would he think she was just trying to use him for money? Maya was still standing there when a familiar voice spoke behind her. Maya. She turned around. David was standing there in his expensive suit looking worried. What are you doing here? Maya asked. I work here, remember? I saw you from my office window. Are you okay? You look upset. Maya stared at him. Here was David Harrison, billionaire, asking if she was okay. The man who could solve all her problems with a phone call. Tommy's sick, Maya said without thinking. Sicker than before. He needs treatment that costs $50,000. David's expression immediately changed. Maya, I can— No, Maya cut him off. Don't you dare offer to pay for it. But I can help. That money is nothing to me and Tommy needs— I said no. Maya's voice got loud. People walking by started to stare. I won't take your charity, David. It's not charity. It's helping someone I care about. You don't care about me. You lied to me for weeks. You let me think we were friends when we're from completely different worlds. David stepped closer. We are friends. And we're not from different worlds, we're from the same world. We're both people who care about our families and want to do the right thing. The right thing? Maya laughed angrily. The right thing would have been to tell me who you were from the beginning. The right thing would have been to not let me make a fool of myself. You never made a fool of yourself. I brought you soup, David. Soup made from cheap vegetables because I thought you were someone like me. I worried about you being alone when you probably have more friends than I could count. I don't have friends, David said quietly. I have business associates and people who want things from me. You were the first person in years who actually cared about me as a person. Maya shook her head. I don't believe you. It's true. Maya, when you found me after the accident, when you stayed with me at the hospital, that was the first time someone helped me without expecting anything back. And that's why you lied to me? I lied because I was scared. I was scared that if you knew who I really was, you would look at me differently. You would see the money instead of seeing me. Well, guess what? I do see you differently now. I see someone who thinks lying is okay if it gets him what he wants. David looked hurt, but Maya didn't feel sorry for him. She was tired of feeling sorry for rich people with rich people problems. Maya, let me help with Tommy's treatment. Please. Not because I feel guilty or because I think it will make you forgive me, but because a 16-year-old boy shouldn't suffer because of what happened between us. No, Maya said firmly. We'll figure it out ourselves. How? Maya, be realistic. Where are you going to get $50,000? I don't know, but I'll find a way. I always do. This is different. This is Tommy's life. Maya felt tears starting to come. Don't you think I know that? Don't you think I'm scared? But I can't take your money, David. If I do that, then everything between us really will be about money. What if it saves Tommy's life? Maya wiped her eyes. Then I'll live with knowing I was too proud to ask for help. But at least I'll know I didn't sell myself to someone who thinks poor people are entertainment. I never thought that. Goodbye. David. Maya walked away, leaving David standing on the sidewalk in front of his own building. She could feel him watching her go, but she didn't look back. As Maya walked home, she tried to think of anyone she could ask for help. But she didn't have rich friends or family with money. She had always taken care of herself and Tommy alone. Maya's phone buzzed with a text from David. Maya was exhausted. She had picked up every extra shift she could find, working 18-hour days to try to save money for Tommy's treatment. But no matter how hard she worked, $50,000 still felt impossible. She was walking through Riverside Community Center on her way home from the diner when she saw something that made her stop. A man in jeans and a simple t-shirt was sitting on the floor with a group of kids, helping them build something with colorful blocks. It was David. Maya hid behind a pillar and watched. David wasn't wearing his expensive suits or giving orders to business people. He was laughing with the kids, patiently showing them how to make their tower stronger. When one little girl's blocks fell down, David helped her rebuild it without making her feel bad. "Mr. David, can you help me with mine?" a boy asked. "Of course, Carlos. What are you trying to build?" Maya watched for 20 minutes. David wasn't throwing money around or trying to impress anyone. He was just being kind, giving his time and attention to kids who needed it. Maya was about to leave when she heard a familiar voice. "Maya, is that you?" Mrs. Rodriguez, who ran the community center, was walking toward her with a big smile. "Hi, Mrs. Rodriguez, I was just passing through. Are you here to see David? He's been volunteering here for 2 weeks now. Such a nice man. He comes 3 times a week to help with the kids' activities." Maya looked back at David, who was now reading a story to a group of children. "How long has he been doing this?" "He started right after we put up the flyer asking for volunteers. Most people want to write checks, but David actually shows up and helps. The kids love him." Maya felt something shift inside her chest. This wasn't the David Harrison she had imagined, the billionaire who solved problems by throwing money around. This was someone who cared enough to spend his time helping kids who had nothing. As Maya watched, David looked up and saw her. Their eyes met across the room. David didn't get up or come over. He just gave her a small wave and went back to reading to the children. Maya left without talking to him, but she couldn't stop thinking about what she had seen. The next day, Maya got a call from the hospital that made her heart race. "Miss Chen, this is Karen from the billing department. I have some good news about Tommy's treatment." "Good news?" "A group in the community has been raising money for Tommy. They've collected almost $30,000 so far. Combined with what your insurance will cover and some other donations, we think we can make the treatment work." Maya couldn't believe what she was hearing. "What group? Who organized this?" "It started with some people from the diner where you work and then spread to other places. Your boss Jerry said you've been working so hard to help your brother that people wanted to help you too." Maya started crying right there in the grocery store where she was working. $30,000. Real people giving real money they probably needed themselves, all because they cared about Tommy. "There's more," Karen continued. "The doctor said he might be able to get the treatment company to lower their price if we can show community support. This might actually work, Maya." That evening, Maya went to the diner to thank Jerry. He was wiping down tables when she walked in. "Jerry, I heard about what you did. The fundraiser for Tommy." Jerry looked embarrassed. "Wasn't just me. Lots of people pitched in, but you started it. You've been working yourself to death trying to save that boy. We all see it. People wanted to help." Maya hugged Jerry, something she had never done before. "Thank you, really." "There's something else," Jerry said. "Someone set up one of those online fundraising pages for Tommy. It's brought in a lot of money from people we don't even know." Maya frowned. "Who set it up?" "Someone who knows your story, I guess. They called it Help Tommy Fight, and told all about how you've been taking care of him since your parents died. It's gotten shared all over social media." Maya pulled out her phone and searched for the fundraising page. When she found it, her breath caught. The page told Tommy's story beautifully, with pictures of him smiling from his hospital bed. But more than that, it told Maya's story, how she worked 3 jobs, how she had dropped out of college to take care of her brother, how she never complained or gave up. At the bottom of the page was a note. "This was created by someone who believes Maya and Tommy deserve our help, not because they can't help themselves, but because sometimes good people need good people to stand with them." Maya knew who had written it. The words sounded like David. 2 days later, Maya was at the community center. She had come to volunteer, something she had never had time to do before. But with the fundraiser taking care of most of Tommy's treatment, Maya finally had a few hours to give back. David was there, helping kids with their homework. When he saw Maya walk in, he looked surprised. "Maya." "David." They stared at each other for a moment. Then Maya walked over to where he was sitting. "Mrs. Rodriguez says you've been volunteering here for 2 weeks. 3 weeks, actually." "Why?" David looked at the kids around him, then back at Maya. "Because you were right. I didn't know how to help people in a real way. I thought money fixed everything. But you showed me that sometimes people need more than money. They need someone who cares enough to show up." Maya sat down next to him. "Did you create Tommy's fundraising page?" David nodded. "I hope you're not angry. I didn't donate to it myself. I kept my promise not to try to buy your forgiveness. But I thought other people might want to help if they knew your story." Maya was quiet for a moment. Around them, kids were doing homework and playing games. Normal kids doing normal things, just like Tommy would be doing soon. "Why didn't you tell me who you were from the beginning?" Maya asked. David put down the book he was holding. "Because in my world, when people find out who I am, they change. They start acting different, wanting things from me. When you found me after the accident and took care of me, you didn't want anything. You just cared about whether I was okay. I hadn't experienced that in so long I didn't want it to end. But it wasn't fair to me." "You're right. It wasn't fair. I was selfish." Maya looked at David, really looked at him. He wasn't wearing expensive clothes today. He looked tired, like he had been working hard. His hands had marker stains from helping kids with art projects. "The David I met in the hospital," Maya said slowly. "Was that real? Or was that an act?" "It was real. More real than I've been in years. Maya, I've spent so much time being David Harrison, the CEO, that I forgot how to be just David. You reminded me." A little girl ran over and tugged on David's shirt. "Mr. David, can you help me with my math?" "Of course, Isabella." David looked at Maya. "Want to help?" Maya nodded and spent the next hour helping kids with homework and art projects. She watched David with the children, patient, kind, funny, not trying to impress anyone or fix everything with money, just being present. When the community center closed, Maya and David walked out together. "Tommy's treatment starts next week," Maya said. "I'm glad. How is he feeling about it?" "Scared but hopeful. He knows a lot of people are rooting for him." They reached the corner where they would go separate ways. "Maya," David said, "I know I hurt you by lying. And I know we come from very different worlds, but I'd like to be your friend. Your real friend. If you'll let me." Maya studied David's face. She saw the man who had sat with kids for hours, who had created a fundraising page for her brother without taking credit, who had learned to give his time instead of just his money. "I'd like that too," Maya said. 6 months later, Maya was back in college. The community fundraiser had not only paid for Tommy's treatment, but had also created enough buzz that a local scholarship foundation had reached out to Maya. Tommy was in remission and back to building things, now with donated supplies from local hardware stores that had heard his story. Maya saw David twice a week at the community center, where they both still volunteered. Their friendship had grown slowly and honestly. David had learned about Maya's world, the struggles and the joys of working hard for everything you had. Maya had learned about David's world too, the loneliness that came with wealth and the pressure of always being watched. But mostly, they had learned about each other. Maya discovered that David was funny and thoughtful and genuinely cared about making the world better. David discovered that Maya was strong and wise and saw beauty in simple things. One evening, as they were cleaning up art supplies at the community center, David asked Maya a question. "Do you ever think about that night when you found me?" "Sometimes," Maya said. "Why?" "I think about how different my life would be if you hadn't stopped to help. Not just because you saved me from the accident, but because you saved me from myself. You showed me what it meant to care about people without expecting anything back." Maya smiled. "And you showed me that it's okay to let people help sometimes. That accepting help doesn't make you weak." "We make a good team," David said. "Yeah," Maya agreed. "We do." As they walked out of the community center together, Maya thought about how much had changed since that early morning when she had found a stranger crashed at the bottom of the mountain. She had been trying to save someone else, but maybe, in the end, they had saved each other. Life was still hard sometimes. Maya still worked and went to school, and Tommy still had regular checkups at the hospital, but Maya wasn't alone anymore. She had David, and more importantly,